still alive?
Yes, he is.
He is.
Yes, he is.
He's great. He's really a great comedian.
He is. He might have a comeback at this point. You know.
Does a great general
The
Pat.
kids always want Ed Sullivan impressions.
What sideshows have you seen live yourself?
Not too many, mainly Coney Island in the late 60s. My dad would take my brothers and I have a great dad who would take my brothers and I to Coney Island, and we'd insist on first going to the Sideshow, the Freak Show.
Is Dad here tonight?
I don't know. Is my dad here? I guess not.
He's a great man.
So mainly Coney Island, but at the end of like the freak shows in Coney Island, like the late 60s, when they were mostly like farm animals and cows with 2 heads and that kind of thing. But the guy that stood out the most was Jolly Jeer, who was about 800 pounds. He couldn't move. He was like, he was just sitting there, but he was jolly, and I never forgot that. He was jolly, he was joking, and he was funny, and you know, we loved him. He gave out his postcard at the end, which a lot of them did. So he's in the new book. He's in this book, Jolly Jeer. I don't even know his real name, but Jolly Jeer.
Your book contains a number of figures from the movie Freaks, the Todd Browning movie.
Right, and the book is dedicated to Todd, the great Todd Browning. So yeah, it's like, would anybody know who Schlitzie is at this point if Schlitzie wasn't in Freaks or Prince Randy? And he really kept those people alive for 80 years now. It's like they're as legendary as in some ways as Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi. They were like actually in a horror film where they didn't have to wear makeup. So, but Schlitzie is of course in the book. Schlitzie is like looms large. People love Schlitzie. Schlitzie was the little pinhead who had the intelligence of a 3-year-old, but loved the life of being in the freak show. And
I gotta say, if I can, in the book is a man 8 feet tall, his girlfriend 4 feet tall, and he's nuts over her.
Something's for everybody in the book because there are blacks in the book, there are Jews in the book, there are pinheads in the book. There's something for everybody. We have the Jewish giant from the Bronx, Eddie Carmel's in the book.
That's right.
You must have known him, Joe.
Very. He was on my show many times.
I would imagine. He was in the movie The Brain That Wouldn't Die. He was the big pinhead freak in the closet. Right. You know that. The big pinhead freak in the closet who comes out at the end. But that was Eddie Carmel. Who people mostly would know from the great Diane Arbus photograph where he's posed with his parents in their apartment, in their living room in the Bronx in the early 70s, shortly before he died. So he's in the book in his younger days.
Eddie Carmel.
Yeah, Eddie Carmel. Yeah. People still remember him.
I see a hand up back there.
From the Bronx, walking around in the Bronx, they just still remember him just like,
he was very
out in the
gentle,
crowd.
very gentle.
He seemed like a sweet guy.
Hey, Drew?
Yeah.
You've obviously seen a lot of films, watched a lot of TV, but in terms of drawing and illustration and cartooning and all that stuff, where did you dwell? What did you read or look at or like?
To me, it's what everybody else was reading, but in my little world. So it was Mad Magazine and comic books, and EC Comics, and mostly comic books. I was and I watched TV but I was very selective about what I watched. So, but I didn't want to do anything but watch TV. And growing up, as I said to Rex on this radio show the other day, growing up in New York in the '60s, you were very lucky because you had Channel 9, Joe's station, you had Channel 5 and Channel 11. So I didn't want to go out, I didn't want to go to school, I didn't want to go to camp. All I wanted to do was stay home and watch Three Stooges, and Our Gang, and Popeye, and F Troop, and the Joe Franklin Show. That was all I wanted to do in life. And now everything's different.
One of the portraits that you did that we issued was a man I hadn't been familiar with. You introduced me to. That's Nat Hiken, who created Car 54.
Sure.
And also created Sergeant Bilko. I had to do the research to write about him online, his bio. And it's just a fascinating, to me anyway, an unknown figure who had such an impact on the culture. You're a big fan of Car 54, Joey Ross, of course.
Big fan of Joey. Car 54 is finally coming out on DVD this month. Both seasons of Car 54, the best comedy show, the best TV show ever.
Why was it a short-run series?
I don't even know that. I mean, somebody might know here. I think
it seems that Joey Ross was very difficult.
Kind of ran out of steam. Yeah, nobody seemed to get along with Joey Ross. He smelled bad. He would sit around. Well, actually, later when he was on It's About Time with Emma Jean Coco, he would sit around and his schlong would hang out of his leg. He was very rude, very disgusting, and he was like a burlesque comedian that Nat Hiken found. He loved his face. He loved his shtick. So he brought him out to do Bilko as Rupert Ritzik, the cook. Nat Hiken had an amazing eye for just a face, like ex-boxers and comedians. And he discovered Joey Ross, and of course, he went on to star in Car 54, which, you know, is the greatest the greatest sitcom ever, you know, right up there with The Honeymooners. And it's about to come out, both seasons. I don't know why it ended. I think that, you know, everybody was sort of migrating to Los Angeles at that point.
Did Hyken write it?
He wrote a lot of the earlier ones, but, you know, finally he passed it on. Like Bilko, he passed it on to other writers, like Neil Simon wrote a lot of Bilko's, people like that. But, yeah, he created that. He had a vision for Car 54 and Bilko. And then, you know, he had a sad ending. He died at about age 50. He finally went out to Hollywood, where all his friends were, and made one movie called The Love God with Don Knotts. It didn't do well, but it's a huge cult favorite now.
The Bilko movie didn't do well either.
No, and that
Because it was written by Andy Breckman.
that possibly is the reason. But the casting is always wrong for those things. It's like, you know, Steve Martin is Bilko, you know, David Johansen is Gunther Tootie. It's like, you know, what are they thinking? It's like, are we that stupid?
Any stories about people who absolutely hated their portraits that you've done?
Yeah, probably. You know, I've actually had the circumstance where I think I've gone too far with somebody. Like, I've drawn Harvey Weinstein, the producer, Miramax producer, a couple of times. The first time I drew him, I think I said, I think I went too far. My wife agreed with me. She said, like, why do you have to be so cruel to him? You're playing up the craters in his face, and you're giving him triple chins, and he's so disgusting. Why are you doing that to him? What is it about you that you have to, like... I said, look, I'm trying to be as honest as I can. Sure enough, Harvey Weinstein's people called next week and bought the illustration. He loved it. That happens a lot. You know, Howard Stern, I've drawn him a bunch of times. And I illustrated a couple of his two books. And he always encourages me to draw him as ugly as possible. He said, draw me like I'm a demented chicken. Huge nose, draw me with pimples, and I drew him as a teenager for a TV show that didn't happen, animated show. But you know, he just loved it. He just draw me as ugly as possible. And I think he's actually an attractive man, so it's hard actually. He's become more attractive. But yeah, but yeah, I'm sure people. I've heard from people who've been insulted. But you know, you take the good with the bad. I don't worry about it. Although I've been drawn and I get insulted, like a couple. I've seen some characters of me and I haven't been happy, so I know how it feels.
More questions out there? We'll get to you in a second.
Did you go to art school here in New York?
Yeah, School of Visual Arts downtown.
And high school?
I went to High School of Music and Art for a couple months until I got beaten up.
Talk about your illustrious teachers.
Well, at School of Visual Arts, it was a great... I only went because of the teachers that I saw listed in the catalog. Harvey Kurtzman was there at the time. Founder of MAD. The young man who lettered for Harvey Kurtzman for many years is in the audience tonight. Little anything. Phil Phillips. And other teachers included Art Spiegelman and Will Eisner and Stan Mack, and Edward Sorrell and Arnold Roth. So all these legendary guys. None of them were great teachers, but it was just great to be around them. It was great to be in their presence, you know. They were basically there, you know, to get the medical benefits. But it was great to be in their aura, be around them.
Yeah, I heard you mention on Rex's show a very fleeting reference to the Collier brothers, who...
Collectors?
No, the Collier brothers.
Collier brothers.
Whose house was on my cornet. And I'm wondering if you had ever, I think there's like only one picture of each of them, or if you've ever drawn.
Is there a picture of pictures after they dug them out from the Collier brothers?
You want to maybe
Irwin probably knows.
No, I only know that they collected a lot
they were like,
of debris.
They were pack rats.
Yeah, lived in Harlem, I think?
I guess, yeah, they were brothers, and they finally had to dig them out of their debris, finally.
Like my office.
Like Joe's office. Perfect analogy. They're going to find Joe someday under that debris.
I think that was the fleeting reference.
There's going to be a landslide, and they're going to find Joe under
I gotta tell you, one of my sadnesses, I had a very dear friend named Bob Kane, who created Batman.
Sure.
And when he got divorced, his wife took his scissors, went into the closet, and cut up about 50 copies of Action Comics #1 in the middle. They're selling now for $100,000 a piece. They were mint copies of Action. So stay married.
Someone in the back there, I see a hand. Shout it out.
How would we lobby to have Joe Franklin as the pioneer of television?
What's the question?
Lobby for Joe Franklin to be the pioneer of television.
Nobody has to lobby. He is. Joe Franklin is a living legend. He invented talk shows. Everybody knows about it.
I did. The other night, somebody told me they were watching Channel 13. They saw a cavalcade of talk show hosts. They saw Johnny Carson, Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, Jack Parr, Steve Allen. He said, but no Joe Franklin. He said, there's only one thing. They were all dead. Still walking and talking.
Stanley Siegel is still here, right?
He's half a
It's still annoying. I would never have Stanley Siegel here.
See another hand, the same hand?
I like to Tootie and I'll do puppetry.
How would I know that? Is this eBay? Go to eBay. Tootie, let me. You want me to get my my iPhone out and find out for you right now? You don't mind. Somebody must know that. Bob, do you know that?
A lot of money.
All right. Very good.
Any more questions?
Anything? Is that it?
Can I just say one thing?
I want a stupid question.
Can I just say one thing?
Oh, Liz? Okay, good.
Yeah, I don't want to, it's not a question, I just want to say one thing.
Go ahead.
Repost!
That's chills down my spine. That's a Plonsky reference.
We've been advised our time is up, and we're going upstairs, and Drew will...
I'll be signing books upstairs.
We're friends with Joe Friedman.
Oh yeah?
I don't even know if he's here. He acts like he doesn't know. It's quite possible.
Yeah.
Hey Liz, how do I turn this thing off?